Hi, guys. I can't hear Larry either, so this is going great. I can't hear you. This is why you pay Kevin the big bucks, to make sure that the audio is always top tier, and we're killing it. I guess they can hear me. I don't know. Comment section, can you hear me? Lay it on me. Oh, this is going great, everybody. Love it. No idea.
Double check it.
Hey, there's something. Okay. We're doing this. Professional broadcasting happening in real time. In the meantime, neither Larry and I are in Las Vegas because we have a semblance of self-preservation. Apparently, it was about 9,500 degrees at 8 a.m. I can't believe they're practicing football in such weather. I can't believe that they don't have an indoor facility that they can work at in Las Vegas, but here we are. And at some point, Larry will join me on his show, and we'll talk about it. Not even close, buddy. Can't hear you. Nothing. This is the stream that I've been dreaming of all this time, and yet here we are, and it's happened, and I'm a little perturbed by it all. A little bit frightened by it. Okay, I have now hijacked the Krug show. Dieter Kurtenbach here. Hi, it's been a minute, you guys. How you doing? Maybe Larry will join us at some point. But yeah, Sickos Unite. We have finally taken over Larry's channel. At some point, Kevin will stop this stream before I ruin all of Larry's ability to make money. I should probably say something about Pig and a Pickle. They do barbecue. I don't know who else is sponsoring it because I haven't been on the show in like 6-8 weeks. So we got a lot of stuff to talk about with the 49ers tonight. Juwan Jennings, I got some thoughts on the matter. I'm excited to talk about it. I don't think that anybody has posited what I think I'm about to posit on y'all. I haven't heard this take uttered or anything really remotely close to it. So curious on if I have a unique take or if I'm just another blowhard repeating everybody's same nonsense. We got to talk about CJ West, my boy from the NFL draft. Was a huge CJ West fan out at Indiana. Loved his tape. Couldn't get enough of it. My favorite guy to watch during this draft process. And he is living up, except now he's down. So we'll have to get into that and what it means for the 49ers defensive line. There's a lot of injuries. I think Kyle Shanahan today said there are 20 injuries just with the joint practice. And let's not forget that in the preseason week 1, 49ers were down 1/3 of their roster. In fact, more than 1/3 of their roster. They were down 33 of the theoretical 90 players that they could have. So what are we going to see on Saturday? Theoretically, we'll get into that with Larry. Who knows? But I mean, I still got nothing, Larry. I don't know what happened. We were talking beforehand. It says you're on mute, my friend. If you can unmute yourself. Now it's not working either. Wow. Should we redo the stream, Larry? Give a thumbs up if you don't want me to hijack your stream anymore, my friend. Okay, I'll keep hijacking. In the meantime, Larry's scared. Larry's scared about what I might say here. 20 guys down. And, okay, stuff like Nick Bosa has a neck soreness, probably just riding up the neck from having to carry an entire defensive line on his back throughout the entirety of training camp. Still not hearing you, Larry. This is the dream. I'm telling you right now. And then you're down just a tremendous amount of bodies. The 49ers are signing defensive linemen literally every day so that they can practice. This is an inauspicious start, folks. This is not where you want to be if you're trying to build into a team that can make the playoffs. And I think that's the operative phrase here, as I just do monologal stuff. And we can get into the chat. I have no ability to bring the stuff onto the screen, but we can get into some chat stuff in a little bit. This is a team that really needs to start fast, right? This is a team that they spoke ad nauseum about getting their business done early in free agency, making sure the guys who were going out fast. The guys who were staying were getting signed fast, and there's something to do with.
Can you hear me now?
Here. I can hear Larry Kruger. Larry, welcome to the Dieter Show on the Krug Show stream.
Unbelievable, Kev.
What'd you do? Was a mouse eating your XLR cable? What was happening?
No, I hit the mute on the side of the mic with my hand without noticing.
Good.
Anyway, I apologize. I apologize to everybody.
Well, listen, I don't know what I did to your streaming numbers during that. They either got boosted or the entire stock market has crashed. Either way,
look at this one. Keep hijacking. Keep hijacking.
At some
Larry's
point,
mic has an injury.
Yes. Larry's microphone, the 21st casualty of training camp. I believe you have some sponsors you need to call out, my friend.
You know what? Should we just go take two? Here, hold on. This has been so bad off the start.
Come back.
Here
I promise I'll give more takes.
Here it is. Hold on. Damn it. Try it again. Welcome to the Krug Show.
You were on mute for a second there to start it off. I thought we were going right back into it. Okay, Larry, do your show now. I'll shut that.
All right. Welcome to the Krug Show. Where is it? There. Hold on. All right. Take two, everybody. Welcome to the Krug Show Thursday night. Dieter in the house. Glad to see you all here. We are neither of us in Las Vegas. The Niners were in Las Vegas. We are brought to you by Pig and a Pickle, the best barbecue in all of Northern California. Check them out. They're in Emeryville. They're in Corte Madera. They're open 7 days a week from 11 a.m. till 8 p.m. or until they run out. Pig and a Pickle, the best barbecue in all of Northern California. Also, we're brought to you by Claw Daddy Arcades. They're a great follow on Instagram at Claw_Daddy_Arcades for locations near you. They're in Capitola Mall and Visalia Mall later on this year. And thanks to Sharp Corners, Sports Cards and Collectibles, 205 Cypress Avenue in Pacific Grove, California, on the Monterey Peninsula. My good friend Anthony Catania is at 831-521-5264. And he's a great follow on IG at Sharp Corners 831 on the gram. And if you're down in the Monterey area and you're a collector, sports enthusiast, check him out. It's got a great little spot down there. Dieter is here. We're fired up that he is. We wanted to talk a little Niners. We titled the stream Real or Fake Issues with the 49ers. And let's just get right into it, because to me, I want to start with the D-line. Today's story is that CJ West's knee buckled and he went down, and then they said hyperextended knee. He's probably going to miss a week. It doesn't look like anything's torn, but he's got the same injury that Mikael Williams has. The Niners have about 20 defensive linemen, roughly, in camp because of all the injuries. Kevin Givens has a pec. Mikael Williams has a knee. Jordan Elliott's got a back injury. Nick Bosa has got soreness, just general soreness. Yatir Gross-Matos with a knee. CJ West with a knee. It's like we could tell you who's healthy, much easier than who's hurt. Just Evan Anderson had a knee bruise. Sam Aquinu was working out on the side. I mean, it's absolutely unbelievable. Teron Jackson went down with a pretty serious injury. He's on the IR. Bradley Anai, who they signed from Utah, who actually had 3 pressures in the Denver game, and it looked like a pretty good player. He's on the IR. He's done for the year. So is the 40, and yet only really, Anai and Jackson are done for the year. Givens is done for a month. Everybody else is basically going to come back. How big of an issue is the rash of D-line injuries? Is it an August concern that's not really that much of a concern, or is this going to be like, they're in trouble here all year long at this spot?
I don't have a deep pit in my stomach about this. I think all signs as it currently stands point to this being a acute situation, and the fact that it keeps compounding in its problematicness is less than ideal. But is anyone officially ruled out for week 1 that hasn't already been ruled out for the season? Not to my knowledge.
Givens.
Okay.
Givens is out for week 1. He's probably going to be out for a month. Yeah. Go ahead and say it.
There's a lot. The beauty of this defensive line situation is outside of Bosa and, to a degree, Bryce Huff. everybody else, and I know the rookies are going to make the team, but like everyone else is fighting for a spot. Like Jordan Elliott, Kevin Givens, like Kalia Davis, Evan Anderson. I mean, are they going to make the team? In all likelihood. Is there a scenario that you can concoct in your mind that says, hey, they're not making the team, or one of those guys gets cut, or two of those guys get cut? Absolutely. I would argue that the depth of the defensive line, while maybe not bringing any level of prolificy, like that's not even a word. Like we're not going back to 2019 here. Like we're not turning into, they have so much depth, they're going to be dominant, but they got a lot of dudes. They have a lot of dudes, and I think they have a lot of NFL caliber dudes. It might be the baseline level of NFL level, but I think that they have guys, and we're going from a situation where Evan Anderson was arguably the best defensive tackle on this team last year. One of two guys who effectively could be considered defensive tackles for this team last year, along with Elliott. And I thought Anderson was better than Elliott. Evan Anderson's not entitled to a roster spot because there are so many dudes on this team. So they're in a good situation. If there was a position that could get injured like this, to this extent, the position that you are inarguably deepest at, and I will note the position that requires perhaps the least to get up and running at, like you have to get your legs under you. It's a physical thing, but it's not exact. It's kind of like running back, not exactly, not exactly a lot of stuff that you got to figure out. It's Chris Kusarek. Go, kill. Like they're not running a lot of complex stuff here. I think that they're okay, but ask me in a week and it might not feel the same way if some of these injuries continue to linger. They need to get guys back into the fold here before maybe we can call off the dogs and just say, hey, everyone will be back soon. But at the moment, it really looks bad. And as I was saying earlier, like they're signing a player or two every day to practice. They are having to get people on airplanes and fly them to Santa Clara or Las Vegas so that they can practice. So that is a less than ideal situation. It's not ideal that you're not getting. I mean, I think West had proven enough, but it's really bad that Mykel Williams is not getting these reps right now, because these were vital opportunities for him and for the coaching staff to figure out what it is he can do for this team at the beginning of the year. Be it a large role, be it a small role, like what is that niche that he can fill early in the year now that Huff is there to theoretically play opposite of Bosa? It's less than ideal that Alfred Collins started slow, and now he's like the only one left. So he's got to play nose tackle because they don't have enough defensive tackles. They're going three down linemen at this point. They're just going to do a 3-4 defense. They don't have enough defensive linemen. The winner in all of this, to maybe put a little bit of a rosy spin on it, Sebastian Valdez. The 49ers will very well know if Sebastian Valdez can play in the NFL or not by the end of this training camp, health permitting, because he is just getting every damn rep there is. And I think he looks the part. And I think that he's going to Wally Pipp a guy or two that we would have expected to make this roster. And there'll probably be some bureaucratic thing on the PUP list or whatever, but or IR. But Sebastian Valdez getting every opportunity, I think making the most of it. So if you need a rosy viewpoint on it, that's a win considering all the negative that's coming out of the D-line.
I got a lot of thoughts on this one because it's like I kind of feel like I want to see the 49ers pick a lane. What are you? Are you a team that is a Super Bowl contender that is trying desperately to win on the margins on special teams? Or are you a developmental team trying to find tomorrow's players and you're in that discovery mode of building your roster? I mean, they've picked up guys, multiple guys already that they themselves know can't play.
Right.
Just because they're trying to get through this camp. Mm-hmm. So it's like, well, if you're a developmental team, aren't you wasting opportunities on guys, younger players that you might want to take a chance, take a look at? Are you all out of ideas? Are you all out of options? Is every good player that's out there already signed and in a camp? There's not a single player. You're bringing in Michael Dwumfor, who can't play. You're bringing in guys, Malik Turner, who's been on this team now 3 times. Yeah. And it's like, he's not going to be on the roster. So it's kind of like, it feels a little Farhanian to me watching all these kind of no-name guys. But back to the D line for a second. I will say this. I just like to count to 10 because if you got 10 guys, then you're all right, right? You got
Dude,
10 NFL
It's
dudes.
6.
So they got, I mean, yeah, but I mean, as far as like, what do I think they're going to have? Like minor injuries, let's say
They
within
might
the
have 12. Yeah.
2 weeks. Nick Bosa,
Mhm.
Jordan Elliott, Mikael Williams,
Yep.
CJ West, Alfred Collins, Bryce Huff. That's 6.
Yep.
Yatir Gross-Matos is coming back at some point. He's getting paid. He's going to come back. That's 7. Right. Kalia Davis is 8. Valdez is 9. Sam O is 10.
Right.
Evan Anderson would be 11.
Right.
Maybe Trevis Gibson might be 12. If you're the rest of the guys, I don't really think are NFL. They're more practice squad. Like I don't believe in Beal or Garvin or
Jalen
Allen or Bruce Hector.
I don't know who William Bradley King is.
Actually, I like him a little bit. He's actually one guy I actually kind of do like a little bit. He's just a speed rusher. But I think he's a good one. I mean, he's actually kind of a young player that doesn't have, it's not like, oh my gosh, what?
And this guy's Bruce Hector.
He was with the Jets, and he's just a high motor, undersized, do the right thing. You know what Bruce Hector is, and Dwumfower. I'll tell you what they are, and I know exactly what they are. I'm not. It's like I've got like a bug in the Niner building. It's like I know this so well. Hector and Drumfower were signed because of how hard they practice.
Yes.
Because they want guys in practicing hard. And CJ West and Alfred Collins and Sebastian Valdez and Mikael Williams need to see guys practicing hard, not guys jaking it, cashing checks, and not practicing hard. So Bruce Hector and Dwumfower, what do they have in common? These guys play with their hair on fire, and they play hard, and they go hard every rep. And they're great practice players, and they're a great example to these young guys. I think that's what those two guys are about. Because Hector plays so hard, and so does Dwumfower. Now they already cut Dwumfower, so that's what I'm saying. They're just kind of.
I legitimately, Larry, cannot keep up with the ins and outs. There's 3 emails a day. You have to read them, but it's
Farhanian.
It's Farhanian, but I disagree with the notion on the lane. Because there could not possibly be a unifying thread throughout this roster. You have future Hall of Fame players at some positions, and then you have other positions where you are legitimately just trying to find somebody. Like they are a developmental roster everywhere other than like 8 guys. So this feels...
no doubt. No doubt.
I mean,
you have to, so the coaches this year will earn their money.
Oh, yeah. And you if you're betting on the 49ers, you're betting on those, I said 8. You can draw the line wherever you want, but there are certainly very high-end players. First, not first ballot Hall of Famers, maybe a case of Trent Williams, but like exceptional players, household names. And then you have a roster that with some second-year players, with some guys that they've brought in that maybe have a shot, and then with all of these rookies, they are trying to figure out what they can be in the second half of the year. But the team will define itself. Like, are they a contender or not? It will have to be defined about halfway through the season. Okay, have these young guys figured it out enough to where they are assets to our team and we can start going now, a la the Rams the last 2 years? Or are we playing for 2026? And both of those options, I feel, are equally on the table. In fact, with all of the injuries, especially to a lot of the young guys, it feels more and more like the coaches just have to kind of concede towards 26 and be happily surprised if 25 turns into anything, because these reps that they're missing are huge. We've talked about it a million times, Lair. If you miss training camp as a rookie, you're redoing your rookie training camp. You're getting held back effectively for a year, because once the season starts, you're not getting that kind of practice. You're not getting an hour and a half of full contact. I mean, Ricky Pearsall, you could make the argument, practiced like 5 times in his NFL career before training camp started. Like he practiced a couple times with no pads. He did like a day or 2 with pads, injured his shoulder, is out with the shoulder injury, gets shot, comes back around week 8 or something. By that point, the NFL, you're no longer really practicing. It's just walkthroughs because you have to maintain your level of health. Then you get OTAs and mini camp. That's not really football in an earnest sense. And then he was a little bit injured to start this. So like that position, defensive line, same thing. Like Michael Williams is missing vital reps here to turn into something. I mean, Alfred Collins getting a slow start is less than ideal, but at least he's there now and he's going to get the reps. I think CJ West had proven enough to where I didn't need to see more of CJ West, but it's tricky. But the fact that they're bringing in just sort of jag guys, not even jag guys, like just pros that are placeholders, just, I don't know, character actors, if you will. The fact that they're bringing those guys in tells you that they feel pretty good about the quality of talent that's sidelined, and the timetable for those guys to return isn't going to be too long, because otherwise they would actually start throwing some darts around saying, hey, we're going to need a guy for a week or two, which is kind of what they're already talking about at the wide receiver position, right? Like they're already, we need to bring in a dude.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. I mean, I would say when it's funny, with the off day, I did a 50-man roster breakdown, 53-man roster breakdown, just to see what it would look like and see kind of where they were at generally. I think Lombardi did one as well. And on his, he had the Niners trading Jordan Elliott. And it's funny because like on mine, I understand what he's saying because I had the Niners trading Yatir Gross-Matos. You know what I mean? And if everybody's healthy, then you probably have to move somebody off the roster, which sounds funny because we're talking about can they get, but then at the same time, there's so many young guys here. You got to ask yourself, because young guys don't typically play a full complement of reps, and backup D linemen all play in a rotation.
Right.
Do they have enough? And the question is inside or outside. I think they have enough inside, even without Givens. West, Collins really is coming on. I think he had a good game. Elliott is not a starter. It worries me when he takes the first rep in practice at D tackle, because I'm like, oh my God, this is not your number one defensive tackle. But on this team, he's the veteran guy.
He was their best defensive tackle against the run, according to Kyle Shanahan, which is why the 49ers were perhaps the worst team against the run, not named the Carolina Panthers last year.
It didn't help that Devondre Campbell was standing behind him, but yes. But then there's Kalia Davis, who also looks pretty good. You mentioned Valdez. I love Evan Anderson. So, I mean, I actually think, you typically go 5 and 5, right? 5 interior, 5 outside. Evan Anderson, Sebastian Valdez, Kalia Davis, Alfred Collins, CJ West. That's 5 right there. Mix in Jordan Elliott, you got 6. So they may have one extra. I think they're a little thin outside. If I could, like, for example, I like the guys they got. I like, obviously you love Nick, Mikkel,
Aquanu.
Huff, Aquanu.
Is Gross-Matos an outside guy, or is he just an undersized 3? There's a question there.
I'm Gross-Matos, Beal, Garvin, the other guys, I'm just kind of like lukewarm on. So, like, for example, if I would look at the cut down, if I see somebody who's an outside guy that's better than those guys, I think this is the year to bring those guys in, because this is but I'm worried they may go the other way and try to make all these moves on the margins. And it's because they're bringing in, guys that are kind of veteran retreads, like they're done evaluating. You need to keep evaluating now more than ever, because now you actually have guys around the league that are going to get cut in August 26th that are legitimately going to be better than your guys with better upside, and they're going to be out there for the plucking, and you need to pluck a few of these guys and hit if you're going to close this gap, and we'll see if they do it. So that's the first spot, is defensive end. If you see a defensive end out there that you had a good grade on in the draft, whatever, and it's basically, hey, is that guy better than Gross-Matos? Is that guy better than Trevis Gibson? Is that guy better than Bradley King? Is that guy better than Beal? Is that guy better than, these guys? If he is, get him in here. So, and I think I would have that attitude about a couple spots, but definitely that's how I see the D-line. Let's move off of D-line to linebacker. Real or fake, the struggles of Nick Martin in week 1. Before you jump in, let me just say this. Dieter and I have been debating the whole Nick Martin thing, and many of the things that Dieter has said about Nick Martin literally showed up on film in that first game. If this were the end of the evaluation, you would be correct. I would be incorrect.
Correct.
But when I looked at that film, to me, the guy who got who looked the best, but did the worst was Nick Martin. So I still think
Well,
I'm
the
going to be
traits
right
are
on this
still
one.
there.
But yeah, I mean, he had a couple plays, and I showed them in a video that I did earlier this week, where if you listen to the call was like, hey, Nick Martin's chasing the play down. But then if you go back to the snap and you realize where he was, you're like, well, wait a second. Where's the linebacker on the side of the play that it went to? Where's the middle backer? Why is the guy on the other side? And this is kind of what Johnny Holland described to me. He's like, this is what makes this guy special. He's got sideline to sideline range. I asked Saul, or I didn't ask Saul, but somebody asked Saul, I believe, this week about Nick Martin. He's like, hey, man, it's his first game in a year and a half. He's got sideline to sideline range. He's got a lot of great traits that we love. We're not worried about all the missed tackles. But there were a lot of missed tackles and a lot of falling off blocks, which to me are falling off tackles, which is, to me, the missed tackles, it doesn't bother me, because missed tackles, you can miss tackles for a lot of reasons. Falling off blocks means that he might not be strong enough. And that's a concern, because he was weight room strong enough. But Saleh and the defensive coaches feel confident in Martin. How do you feel about Nick Martin? Is he a problem, or is he a real problem? Is he a fake problem for the Niners?
It's not a real problem. I'm not gonna. I could do the victory lap thing off of the tape, but the problem is then you go out to practice and he does flash. There are moments when you're like, God damn, that guy can move. Now, does that matter if you're going up against the 49ers second string, which we kind of already know isn't all that great? I don't know. But the physical traits, or at least the speed, is really evident, and it's intoxicating. It's intoxicating for him to watch somebody move that fast, and if he does make the tackle, clean stuff up that he has no right to be in the play on. The problem is when they actually played another team, he was completely lost. But it's his first game. He'll get many more opportunities here this year and next year and the year after that, because he's a third-round draft pick, to speed up to that. Now, I'm not going to, the play strength is a real issue. And the guy who was most impressive in that preseason game to me at the linebacking position, and I thought there were some decent performances,
Bethune.
but I thought Bethune was fantastic. And I've never been a Bethune defender. I haven't liked him, because my concern with him was always, sure, he's smart. Sure, he's a mean son bitch, but he's not big enough, and he's going to get tossed around. And that's still probably going to be the case for him. But he played with a force. He played with a conviction. And the game was certainly not too fast for him. He was playing in front of the Denver Broncos in terms of the mental aspect of the game. So to say that Nick Martin couldn't get to that point would be ridiculous, because Nick Martin is a far more physically talented linebacker when it just comes to foot speed. And when you have a defensive line, the way that they have tried to structure this team is they're going to have a big defensive line, and then they are going to have fast linebackers who are just flying around. They want to go full Schwartz on this defense, and there is a lot of validity to that style of play. So it's too early to say that Nick Martin is good, bad, in between, whatever, but he is starting as low as you can start, because he has not assuaged any fears about his. The killer on the Oklahoma State film was, unless it was right in front of him, unless the path was super clear, he wasn't getting there. That he didn't actually seem to understand the linebacking position and how to do it. He was totally lost in coverage. And when you're playing slow, or when you're thinking you're playing slow, and if he's playing slow, he has no purpose. You have to give the kid the benefit of the doubt, given the time he was off, all that. It's not as if he hasn't been playing football. They've been practicing football every day. But first time against another team, we're going to see it through, and he's going to get ample opportunity. I bet they throw him out there even more than they initially wanted to against the Raiders and against the Chargers, just to see, because that tape was so bad in week one, so bad in preseason week one, that you could maybe say that he needs to get Cam Latu'd and just say, you know what, you're taking a red shirt year. Like, you're just going to watch from the sidelines. I don't think it's anywhere near that. But if he has another disaster class against the Raiders, we're going to be having that conversation this time next week. By all accounts, he's a high character kid. He's got his, good head on his shoulders. He can run like the wind. Again, I never liked the pick at 75. I'm never going to, back off of my concerns about his physical strength, which is a necessity at that position. But one game, you can't bury the kid after one game, even if it did show all of the warts that I predicted would come to pass.
What I love, I'm going to show two plays here. I'm showing this one that I love. This was a play where this is what I want from my linebacker. I want a guy who's going to come downhill with force, whatever yard line he's on. Look at where
30.
Gifford is, and look where Bethune is.
Yeah.
And then if you start moving it, he's going to shoot. He's going to recognize the handoff right here. Sees the back's arms widening, and they all see it, but they all stay home. And this guy is like charging upfield, coming downhill. Now that right there shows that the tight end has his hands on the back on the 5, and that's a little bit of a push in the back. So,
well, I mean, Larry, I would highly recommend you don't go through play by play and
I know
pushes in the back, because let me tell you, I was rewatching the All 22 this morning, and I'm like, wow, it is preseason for the refs too, because 9 out of 10 of these plays that had any gains are getting called back for obvious penalties.
But I mean, there's a lot of traits I really love there. He identifies it. He's coming downhill. So my biggest argument last year with Campbell was that he just made plays right down here. He just allowed. They never ever made plays in the backfield. They never had tackles for loss. I'd love to see how many TFLs the Niner linebackers had last year. So this guy is doing what I want him to do. He's shooting a gap. And he overshot it, and it looked bad too on camera. Like if you're watching this from the sideline, that looks what the heck? He had it, and then it's like, and you're looking there and you're staring at his number. So that's a bad play. This is one bad play.
But Larry, it's a duo play up the middle, and in that situation, yes, shoot it if you see it, but you also have to know that tight end's coming over, and that you need to get outside leverage on him, so that Bethune can clean it up, because that's the Mike's job in duo. I'm not telling you that Nick Martin did a bad thing, but this is kind of just go. He's thinking too much, and then he's not running it as he should. He's just trying to hit something. So I'm going to chalk it up to overeagerness, being on the field for the first time in a long time and trying to make a play. But also, this is something that I've noticed with a lot of smaller linebackers. If they can't get there really fast, they don't have a chance of getting there. They don't have a chance of making a play. Once someone gets hands on them, they're done. This is the issue with small linebackers. And it's why so many of the collegiate linebackers who look like they kick ass fail at the NFL level.
Well, it's a big reason why the Niners drafted Alfred Collins, right?
Totally.
And CJ West, because they're trying to keep bodies off these second level defenders.
And
the other one I want to show you,
to be fair, West did a great job on that play. He brings it's a duo block. They bring it over. 2 linebackers should make that play, but because Martin decided that he was going to make the play, even though that should be the Mike linebacker's play, it messed it all up. He kind of blocked his own guy in a way.
Now here's another one that to me is interesting. He's over here, and this is a run to the offensive right, the defensive left, and you got Gifford here. Mm-hmm. I mean, Gifford's got to make that play, or this guy's got the angle usually to make that play. But instead, the guy who sees it and comes rolling downhill is Martin. And then somehow, even though you got all these bodies here, and it's a play going this way, he somehow gets through the trash and still almost makes an amazing play. And when you watch this on the TV copy, and I love Guy Haberman, but he's describing what he sees, and he's like, and Nick Martin, doesn't make this play, but Nick Martin, this is not Nick Martin's play to make. I'm not criticizing Haberman. Haberman's awesome.
No, Haberman did a great job.
Haberman's great. Yeah, no, I love Haberman, and he's a terrific young announcer. And I would have called it the same way, because you're describing what you see on the picture on the sideline tight. Here it is, though. Here's Martin, and he's going to get through all these things and jump that guy and almost make a play on the other sideline. That right there is the kind of range. I don't care about who makes the tackle and that kind of thing. It doesn't, to me, he missed this tackle. But I get excited when I see a linebacker that has that kind of range, because that's what the Niners have really, that's what Bowman was. That's what Willis was. That's what all their best linebackers, you got to have range. You got to be able to run. And I love that about this kid. He can really run, and he's got tremendous heart. He wants to make the plays, but it was a bad game for him overall.
I mean, yeah,
sure.
we don't want to go into that play that Vele made against him, but he's got the speed. And the concern that I have with Martin isn't that he doesn't have one elite physical trait, which is speed. The question is he over relying on it? And if they had to play him in week 1, given the very limited information that we have in all 22 right now, I mean, this dude is going to get so burned in play action or on a wham block, he's not going to know what hit him, because right now all he has is see ball, go get ball. And you can't play linebacker that way at the NFL level. You can get away with it shit in the Big 12, but you cannot do that at the NFL level. He's a rookie. He hasn't played in a long time. I totally get buying that one physical trait. I'd like to have seen more polish to start, but he's got plenty of opportunity to tighten it up.
I didn't even see this until just now. Is this accurate, Mr. Irrelevant? Siegel out today with a concussion.
He was a revelation.
Okay, I mean, the 49ers have last year, they canceled their joint practices with the Saints because too many guys were hurt. This year, believe it or not, they have the exact same number of guys hurt, if not more. And yet they're going forward with it because it's a one-day deal with the Raiders, not a two-day deal.
They also need the young guys to get reps. Like
last
year they can just say, fuck it, right? We're a veteran team. We don't need.
We're running it back.
We're running it back. We don't. And this was the argument that so many made to me specifically about training. Like, why do they need training camp? They were just in the Super Bowl. Let them have the hangover. Well, you need training camp because not everybody was on that Super Bowl team, and even the best teams need to create some level of cohesion. And last year they just straight up didn't practice. Not even with all the injuries and stuff. You were there, Larry. I mean, you could have taken a nap during training camp. And there's been a couple of days that I've been there where it's like, man, this is not that interesting. And I'm a sicko. So I'm going to chalk it up to injuries this go around. I'm not saying they should have canceled it. I mean, Kyle said straight up, like, the young guys need the reps, so we're going to find a way to make this work. But they haven't practiced one-on-ones in a week, right? They're signing defensive linemen every day. They couldn't go with threes a couple days ago. And the way that they do threes now is they run most of the second team out there with a couple of guys who have no chance of making even a practice squad in the NFL. So just so like one or two guys can get a couple of reps, it's dire. And if it wasn't August 14th, I would say this is really going to be an issue.
Why? I mean, why does this keep happening? Are the 49ers, and it's, here's the other thing today. The Niners were in Vegas, so they were on the Raiders turf. So they don't have probably the same facilities inside. What did you see today on the field? You saw the Niners stretching. Did you see that? The 49ers were stretching today on the field. There are people that are making a big deal about this, that Denver was stretching on the field and the Niners weren't. Like, the Niners are the one football team in the world that would take the field without stretching. I
always thought it was bullshit, Lair. I don't need to stretch.
People need to absolutely pump the brakes. If you're going with absurd takes like, what, they need to stretch. Come on. Are we really assuming that the 49ers are playing football without stretching at all? People think that they're just running out of the locker room. Hey, we're here. And it's like, no, they're obviously stretching somewhere. And today we saw they must be stretching indoors because today we saw them in Vegas. They were stretching. So,
because they don't have access to their home facility where they do things inside a large weight room or in the locker room.
I love all these people who cover the team. I do. I love it. It's awesome. More opinions, more people. It's awesome. But if you're suggesting that, and I have heard it a few times.
Honestly, at this point, they should stop stretching because maybe that's the problem.
Well, okay. So I'm bringing that up because I'm to the people that are going to type into the chat. They really don't stretch. They do stretch. They absolutely stretch.
Well,
They
there's only one
absolutely
way to know,
stretch.
Larry. We're going to have to ask Kyle Shanahan if they stretch.
I'm going to have to.
I nominate you.
Kyle, are you guys the only team in the NFL that doesn't stretch at all before going out there? I mean, I can't even get that out.
Okay.
Already the PR staff would be pissed. Everybody would be pissed. Kyle would be pissed. Everybody would be pissed.
Yeah. I'll say this. I subjected myself, and there's no other way to describe this, subjected myself to the first 10 minutes of The Build, the in-house nonsense that the 49ers put out there. It's Hard Knocks.
Is it good or is it not good?
Oh, it's god awful. It was physically painful. I turned it on. I'm comatose, right? I got 2 kids. They don't sleep. I've been up since 4, and I'm just like, I need to just be comatose for a while on the couch. It comes up and I'm like, okay, I'll watch this, for journalism. And they're doing like a ride along with Brock Purdy going to the facility. And I guess they fired the editor because he just kept rambling. I mean, it was just like, Brock, we get it that there's only so many platitudes on the planet and you've used all of them twice now. Like, please cut away from this. It was brutal, but they had a cut in to Kyle's first meeting of the year where he's talking about building up a callus. So maybe they're going too hard. I don't know. I'd like to think that you need to play football to be good at football. And they've had this issue no matter who's been in charge of it. This issue has happened forever. It's in perpetuity. And by the way, every other NFL team is also dealing with injuries. Perhaps not to this extent, but like, they're playing professional football. Young guys get injured more than anybody else because they're not physically ready for the NFL game yet, coming from the college level. Old guys get injured. What does this team have? Nothing but really old guys and nothing but really young guys. The 2 groups of people who get injured all the time, which is why teams don't like to be built around those kind of rosters, because there's too much injury risk.
So you're saying that the Niners have some great players, like as Shanahan said. Yeah, we got it's kind of like 17, except we got 7 or 8 great players still hanging around. So you're saying they got some old players, and then they also have such an abundance of young players, and that if they had more like 3rd, 4th, and 5th year guys, they would be healthy.
Yeah, if they had guys coming up on the end of their first contract,
I definitely agree with that in an NBA conversation. Like if you had NBA rookies and NBA old guys like the Warriors had, I'd much rather try to get it done with, who wins championships in the NBA, guys in their prime. It is interesting. I've had people suggest to me that the Niners practice harder than other teams.
I've heard that. The Steelers practice, they tackle to the ground at training camp. The Steelers, they don't seem to have this same issue.
They don't. I mean, it's perplexing. And they've tried. All I would say, if you said, give me your honest to goodness, you know football to some degree, you've been involved, you have an opinion. If take the Niners out of it, people can't be unbiased about their team. Just take Team A, we're talking about, has a lot of injuries, and you're in charge of eradicating this problem. What would you do? What would you recommend? I would recommend, and I just believe in this, that injured guys get injured. I know that sounds simplistic, but what I mean by that is people that are hurt in college are probably more apt to be hurt in the pros. So let's look for guys. Let's look for guys who didn't play like Garendo played. Like, wow, he's big and strong and fast, but he played 1 college game. Hint, hint. Maybe that could be like a little hint that maybe what's going on there. He's the biggest, strongest, fastest guy, and he only really had 1 college start. Well, Larry, as opposed to Corey Kiner, who played all the time.
Yeah, but Corey Kiner's not that good. So, like, this is your issue. You can get the durable guys who played a lot of collegiate football, but if you're getting them, you're taking a guy who's really, really good and really, really durable is gone after pick 60 in the NFL draft. Like, that's an arbitrary number, but you get where I'm coming from. And after that point, it's, okay, I'm willing to sacrifice upside for the floor, and just take guys, Corey Connor didn't get drafted, but take, guys like that, a CJ West, if you will. And then the flip side is, we want the upside. And if you have Super Bowl on the mind, you're not taking floor. You're taking ceiling, and you have 11 draft picks. Year before that, you had 9, and you're willing to take the risk. You're willing to take the risk because you got a bunch of rolls of the dice. It's not working out right now, but I agree with you. Injured guys get injured. Christian McCaffrey, what was his knock when they traded for him? He was injured all the time in Carolina. That's why Carolina moved off him.
Yeah, that's what me and Todd Husak debated. I mean, Todd was like, hey, this guy's a great player when he was at Stanford. This guy's going to be great in the pros. And I said, yeah, but I see him as a specialist who's going to have durability issues.
Totally.
And he's like, oh, no, he's much more than a specialist. And really, he was right. But I was right. He has durability issues. He runs upright. He's not he's tough. I mean, Christian is an awesome talent,
right?
But he's taken a lot of abuse.
Last year should not be a surprise to anybody that something drastic happened at that position with the workload that he had. Same thing here with Mykel Williams. Mykel Williams, if he had no injury concerns, would not have been available to the 49ers at 11. But he
should have gone first in the draft, they said. But he didn't play hardly.
They being me.
But I mean,
he was injured all the time.
Yeah.
Correct. Well, when he did play, he flashed like a sumbitch. And even when he played injured, he flashed. The problem is that doesn't matter if you can't play. Best ability is availability. Problem is you're trying to build a Super Bowl team, and if your only good ability is availability, you're not very good.
The Niners think they really got something in Mykel, and hopefully they do. But I'll say this, the old scout who I used to work with in the Canadian League, who was a genius, the great Joe Woolley, who built the Eagles, drafted guys like Seth Joyner and Reggie and all these guys. This guy was really a great personnel guy. And, he had so much wisdom about things. And he'd be like, you know what? Guys who love to play find their way onto the field. Guys, just because you're great at it, doesn't mean you love to play. Guys who don't love to play find their way off of it.
Well,
and if you ask every guy at the combine, they come in, we met with 27 guys. If you asked all 27 guys, do you love football? All 27 guys are going to say, yes, I love football. Unless there's one maniac who's like really nuts. And there probably
I'd honestly I'd draft that guy just for his honesty.
Yeah, seriously.
It's like,
and also just because he's probably a leader, because he probably goes to the beat of his own drum. He doesn't give a shit what anybody says. That's probably the guy.
But to be fair, that's John Lynch was like, that's the number one thing. We want guys who love ball. And it's like, okay.
Well,
sure.
If he loved ball so much, how come he missed? He only played like 30% of the snaps, and an ankle injury kept him out the whole year. And it bothered him throughout the draft process to the point where he had to have an individual workout with Jalen Walker like days before the draft to kind of solidify his health. And then immediately in camp, literally immediately, he's clutching the ankle and wincing. And when we asked him about it, he's like, it's fine. But then he missed the next day. He literally said his ankle was fine. And then the next day missed practice because of the ankle. So it's like, what are we even?
I'll give you two things. I think you're being unfair, because he did play throughout on a high ankle sprain for the entire campaign. And you ask anybody who was around that Georgia team, they would have told you. I heard this from enough people outside of any building, and maybe they were just telling me what I wanted to hear, but at this point, they didn't know anything about my Mykel Williams stock. They said straight up, a lesser player wouldn't have even bothered. They would have just packed it in, maybe come back for another year, or just go to the draft. And a lot of guys make that, quote, business decision, and Mykel Williams is like, I'm fucking playing. I'm going to play on one leg if I have to, and it never got right. Now, for something more appreciable, because
that was last year. He still is bothered by that issue.
It sounds like it hasn't gotten right, but
isn't that a concern?
Absolutely, it's a concern. It's a huge concern, but I don't think it's a character concern. If we're
I'm not saying character. No, the guys, that
right
part of it is
on the line.
No, part of the reason that people like him is they feel like he's got a high motor. It's about he only played 30% of the snaps. He played in the deep rotation at Georgia, and he played all over the place. But my biggest thing was you were looking for a dynamic edge rusher, And
Yeah.
I don't think he's a dynamic edge rusher. I just saw him last week get absolutely dominated by Zach Johnson, who is right now looking for a job. So Mikal looks like two different players. Against the guard, he looks like a ton. And against a guard in space, he's way too much. But if you put him off the edge against a tackle and he doesn't win with his initial move, he's cooked. He doesn't seem like he has anything else from there. So it's just where he's at. I mean, I'm not thinking he's not going to be like this forever. He's got a great coach. He's a prospect. They're all prospects. He get better. Nobody comes in and gets worse, right?
But
Everybody gets better. So he's got a body
some guys,
for the game.
There's some guys who what you get initially is all you're going to get.
But those were my concerns, and they're still my concerns because I've watched the one-on-ones, and he's not in for the 11th pick in the draft. I expect him to win one-on-ones against Zach Johnson consistently and look awesome doing it, and he's not doing it. And that's what concerns me.
Absolutely fair concern. Here's my concern if we're trying to find some sort of a systemic issue with the 49ers and why they're injured so much.
Right.
It's because they preach going out there, being tough, practicing hard. But the second there's an injury, and this is anecdotal, this is my observation and the observations of people that I talk to, or loosely, it's the second there's an injury, they all the way down, shut it down. They get very sensitive about injuries. They don't carry the thesis all the way home. They want to be tough. They want to play hard. They want to get that callus going at training camp. But the second someone's got a little something, they're gone for days. Nick Bosa's neck is sore. So he's going to miss as many days, unlimited paid time off during training camp. Now, it's Nick Bosa, so it's not that big of a deal. But that level of conservative thinking towards injuries, I can't tell you it's right or wrong. What I can tell you is I think it's keeping guys off the field maybe a little bit longer than they would be off the field in another operation. I don't think that they have guys tough it out through injury so that they can get reps, but they keep preaching how tough they need to be before anyone gets injured. So I think that their threshold of what an injury is lower than most, and their threshold of what healthy is higher than most. And that manifests in a situation where you have Isaac Arendo out there, doesn't look injured at all. I get it's a shoulder injury, and they're just going to keep him out for forever because, well, it's a shoulder, and we have a very high standard of what healthy is for a shoulder. And I think it's almost a self-fulfilling prophecy of injury for a lot of these guys.
Here's the question, though. I mean, there's a couple things, first of all, for anybody who's of any age and has watched the 49ers in the 80s or in the 90s when they won championships, what do you remember? They got to the Super Bowl a lot. And guess what? Every time they did, Joe was there, Jerry was there, Roger was there, Taylor was there, Jones was there, Rathman was there. Almost all of their first team defenders they had were all there. They got to the finish line and played at the end of the year great football and won championships. And they didn't lose star players. So it's not like this is like, oh, well, nothing you can do. There is no answer. No, that's bullshit. There is an answer. Walsh believed strongly in taking it easy on the guys in the beginning of the year because he knew that he wanted to he knew his team was going to play in January and he wanted them to be fresh in January. So the Niners didn't other teams were banging heads in season. The Niners took off the pads basically after just did walkthroughs while everybody else is banging heads throughout the 80s and 90s. Now less teams are doing that. More teams copied them. So there's less overall abuse to the bodies period. But every Niner team that he had and Seifert too, all those years, every time they got to the Super Bowl, they had basically a full contingent, and very few years did they lose their main guys to injury. I mean, very few years, if ever. So it can be done. So that's one. Two, there's two different approaches. There's the Sean McVay approach, which is I will trade Rust in September in week 1 for full roster of complement of guys. That's the approach he wants to take. Where Shanahan is a believer, as you said before, in kind of building the calluses, and he's a believer that you need to build those calluses to get through the rigors of an NFL season.
Right.
And so let's just put it down. I mean, what side are you on? Are you with McVay? Are you more with McVay? Rest your cash and play them when the money's on the table and get a full complement of guys week one, or are you a Shanahan? Where no, I'm a little bit more old school. If you want to block and tackle and be good at block and tackling, you got to practice blocking and tackling, and you need to build up calluses, and you can't just keep everybody out and flip a switch. What camp are you in?
I'm absolutely on Team Callus, because you see when it works out that it's magnificent. I mean, the Rams every year are hoping that things click together. And one year it did. It just all came together. And I suppose the Niners are making the same gambit in the opposite direction. Whereas if we stay healthy enough, if we can get through training camp, early part of the season, then come, and by the way, even with injuries, we're going to practice our depth guys hard so that they're ready to play NFL football. By doing that, you end up in December and January in a position to where you can inflict pain. And we've seen the 49ers win playoff games in the Shanahan era by being stronger, tougher, and more physical. It just doesn't work if you don't have talented guys because they're banged up and they didn't make it there. But if you can get through, if it all comes together and you can get through and make it there, injury luck goes your way, then, hey, you're the 2019 team, you're the 2023 team. Problem is it just hasn't gone their way, and it's a kind of a boom or bust gambit. And Perry's right. They lost Montana against the Giants and all that. They also had Steve Young as a backup. Yeah, they had Steve Young as a backup. They did okay. Steve Young also tore his ACL and was back 6 weeks later at one point. Jerry came back in season from an ACL tear. Things were going crazy back in Redwood City. I don't quite understand what was going on there. That's not the case anymore, clearly, but it is. I am of the mindset that you have to practice football to be good at football, because you're resting starters for a preseason game. That doesn't matter. It's about the practices. It's about the joint practices particularly. And the Rams model, it's an oversimplification, just as it's an oversimplification on the 49ers side of going really hard. But the Rams model of, we'll figure it out as we go along. I don't buy it. I don't like the idea of, we'll ramp it up in the second half. It just doesn't jive with me. Maybe I'm wrong about that one. Maybe Sean McVay is as good a coach as there is in football. Maybe he's got it all figured out, man. But I'd like to think that come December and January, where the game of football fundamentally changes towards physicality, you'd like to have some tread on that tire so that you can inflict the pain.
I would say, I've used to be an old school guy. I've built the calluses, but for this year's team, first of all, I think you got to, like everything. If you ask anybody any question about football, the right answer should always be, it's a case by case basis, right?
Course, yeah,
no matter what
in life.
Everything's a case by case basis. It's not that, you can't just have these steadfast rules.
This year particularly, you need to practice guys. You need these young guys to feel the NFL.
I would treat everybody the way Jimmy Johnson's old philosophy. I treat everybody different. This year, the Niners have 7 core guys, right, that are really, really good. Now, Purdy wants to play, and I asked him about it the other day. I said, do you need to play? And he said, yeah, I do need to play a little bit. So he's playing in the second preseason game. So he's going to play a little bit.
Theoretically. Not verified yet.
You don't think so? Well, I think.
I don't know one way or another. Kyle said he's going to figure it out tomorrow.
I mean, I wouldn't play him. If it was me,
him.
I would play. I would sit the 7 best guys: Purdy, CMC, Kittle, Trent, Bosa, Warner, Lenore. That's it. Those 7 guys. I'm not playing those 7 guys in the preseason. Purdy would be the only one I would consider playing, just because he is the quarterback of the team. Offensive cohesion is is something that can be built in the preseason. Absolutely. Offensive flow and rhythm is established in the preseason. So I'd be more apt to play Purdy. But the rest of those guys mean way too much to this season. And the way guys have fallen like flies, I'm not playing those 7. But for the rest of the team, I have a totally different rule, which is, I agree with you, which is they're too young to just protect them. You gotta, that's why you need a lot of young guys, because guys get hurt. But that's also why I would keep looking for other young guys. And hopefully that will happen as we get down to the cut down. I want to see them actually take a look-see at some of these receivers and runners and corners and linebackers from other camps. We don't want to go on endlessly tonight, but we're already an hour and 1 minute in. But I do want to get your thoughts on a couple other things here.
Sure.
The swing tackle position, where, whatever. I mean, I know the Niners said, well, we don't have a swing tackle, which means you don't have a tackle that you feel confident can play the left side and the right side. But beyond the swing tackle, do the Niners even have a suitable third tackle? Today, Andre Dillard went on the IR. Austin Pleasance looked awesome in the OTAs. I said so. I was the guy pumping him up. I loved it. I told Forster was like, hey, I agree with you. He's big, strong, fast. He looked awesome.
Yeah.
But that's why you don't evaluate the OTAs. We're now in training camp, and speed is bothering Spencer Burford, and speed and power are bothering Austin Pleasance. Speed rushers are beating Burford. They're beating Pleasance. And I saw Pleasance the other day get bull rushed by Jalen Allen, who he outweighs by 100 pounds, and he just got waltzed into the lap of the quarterback. He has no anchor ability. So to me, the third tackle is Isaiah Prince, or it's out there somewhere. I don't think it's Burford, and I don't think it's Pleasance. And I know some people would say you're overreacting. No, I know personnel, and when I see it, I'm decisive, and I've decided that Burford and Pleasance can't do it. Now, trust me when I say this, but if you don't want to, go ahead, put Brock out there and look what happens if those guys have to pass block. It is not going to be pretty. And you just invested $265 million in a quarterback. Now he can move, but you got to protect him. And you've got some good guards. You've got some young center here. You got some pieces. You're building this thing up, but you don't have a third tackle. You should have signed DJ Humphries. You should have just given him the cash he wanted. Instead, you wanted to save a few bucks. You didn't get DJ Humphries signed. You're leaning on Pleasance and Burford and maybe Prince. Unless Prince can do the job, I don't feel good. Where are you? Is that a real problem and I'm right, or is it a fake problem and I'm wrong?
It's a fake problem. I've watched the offensive line tape from that first preseason game 3 times now. I saw that Pro Football Focus gave Austin Pleasance an 18 pass blocking grade. I have no idea what they were watching. No idea what they were watching. I'm not saying he was good, but he certainly wasn't 18 out of 100. That implies that he was basically just rolling over, just falling on the ground and rolling over repeatedly. I thought he was fine. I legitimately thought he was fine. Does he have a great anchor? No. Does he fight you? Yeah. And he was going up against first team, arguably the best defense in the NFL, the first team of the best defense in the NFL. I thought Pleasance was absolutely A-okay, and he can run block like a sumbitch. I thought Burford was done hard in by terrible tight end play. The Niners have been trying
What have I told you that none of my evaluation on this has anything to do with that game at all? It's not about that game.
You've seen them more in practice than I have, to be certain. So I can't tell you that what you saw is incorrect. And I can't tell you, but when I watched them go up against the first team Denver defense, I thought they were just fine. And as a third and fourth tackle in the NFL, where teams are looking for 1, they'll start anybody at 2. For the 49ers to think that they need to find an upgrade, where is this mythical guy floating through the streets who will, be a third tackle. They are starting anybody at right tackle in the NFL right now. Colton McKivitz.
I mean, Denver has a good third tackle.
Okay. I mean, yeah, they have a great offensive line, great defensive line.
Philly has Holland Pierce, Cam Williams,
I love Holland Pierce.
and Miles Hinton headed to their practice squad.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know. I hear what you're saying.
I did not see it. And I think that on
you.
Saturday it's going to be just fine. I think it's going to be just fine.
All right. Maybe I'm overreacting. You know how much I trust your opinion. Maybe I'm overreacting, but to me, I think Burford looks so out over his skis. He's not, to me, he doesn't. I've seen him false start 5 times this summer.
Yeah,
nobody called any of them because it just kind of sucks to
Kansas
call
City Chiefs
false starts on him.
False started every play for an entire season. They won the Super Bowl.
I know. I mean, Lane Johnson looks like he's false starting left and right, but Lane Johnson's going to the Hall of Fame. I'm worried about Burford getting the quarterback killed. He's the left tackle. I'm worried about Pleasance because Pleasance got bull rushed so bad by Jalen Allen. And then speed rushers, there was a couple, I don't know if you were there the day that Huff beat Pleasance and Pleasance didn't touch Huff. Didn't touch him. Never touched him.
No.
And
I'm not implying in any
here's
way
the one that
these
kills
two
me.
are
Here's the
great
one that
options.
kills me.
I just think there's a false idea of what the level of tackle play is in the NFL. Offensive line play in the NFL has never been worse. It's just never been worse.
This is the one that kills me. Chris, Mr. 49er. Ursery is killing it on Houston, according to reports. Should have been the pick instead of Collins. Yeah, I totally agree with that. They should have gone with Ursery. Arianti Ursery from Minnesota, who was, looks like a guard, but is playing tackle and is playing really well.
I'd love to see him against a speed rusher. He had a lot of problems with that at Minnesota because he's same thing with Holland Pierce. I love Holland Pierce, but right around the corner because he's too big. I mean, the Niners have a template of what they want to do. And I just want to make sure that everybody's on the same page with me here. Colton McKivitz is a $15+ million a year tackle in the modern NFL. Aaron Banks, who every opposing coach and scout that I talked to said, there's your weak link. We're going to attack him ad nauseum, and they did it. We're going to attack him. Of all the offensive linemen on a bad offensive line last year, he's the one we're going to attack, and the tape bears it out. He got $77 million. It's never been worse, and I wouldn't be so quick to think, hey, let's go somewhere else. The grass, I'm telling you right now, is non-existent on the other side. So just because the grass is brown on our side of the fence here, which I'm not going to disagree with you on, doesn't mean you're getting grass anywhere else. I think these two guys can step in and play.
I mean, when you watch the Niners O-line, you're like, man, they're horrible. But then when you look at where they're graded mid-pack. So in the grand scheme of things, are they horrible, or is just all line play, as you say, really bad around the league? I will stay with this, though. I don't think Burford is fast enough to play tackle. I think he's a guard. Think about it this way. All the time you've been watching pro football, how many guys have really gone from they were a guard and now they're a really good tackle? I mean, it's just, it doesn't happen that much.
Joe Thuney did it last year. He was pretty good.
Yeah, but I mean, he had a whole career.
He's an all-pro.
The guy was really good. Okay, let's move on to the next one. This is another concern I have. The 49ers, pick a lane. What are you? I think I've looked at the numbers and I've looked at other people's cut down list. I think it's very likely that the 49ers are going to wind up cutting for the 3rd year in a row a good young corner, and then they're going to be looking for corners in the middle of the year. Their best 3 corners are Green and Lenore and Stout, in whatever order you want to go with, whatever. Right. I like all 3 of those guys. Lenore thinks he's going to be the best corner in football. That's great. That's awesome. I hope he is. Buddy.
Yep.
I like Dallas Flowers and what I've seen this summer.
He's number 4 for sure.
Came over from Indy. I think I like what I've seen there. I like the potential of Darrell Luter, and he's made some plays, and other times he's not made plays. He's gotten burned at times, but to me, he's too talented of a player to cut. I wouldn't want to cut him. And then I like Jacob Robinson. He's had a lot of plays on the ball, but those guys are rookies. And the Niners signed Saron Neal to a $2.25 million guaranteed. So he's making the roster. So
I don't know about that, Lair, because
really,
I am the level of sicko.
You think they're going to eat that?
Yeah,
they ate it in Sudfeld.
So I have been spending, when I've been there, to be fair, have not been to every practice. Just got back into the rhythm of things here after Pat leave. I've been paying very annoyingly close attention to special teams setups. And Saron Neal was signed not because he's a good corner or safety. It's because he's a special teams ace in theory. He's running with the twos. He's running with the twos in special teams. There's no impediment to him running with the ones. He's running with the twos. That's not justifiable to keep him on the roster. He's not a number one gunner. He's not a
He hasn't made enough. I mean, whether you're watching practice or the games, based on plays made, he doesn't belong on the roster. He hasn't made plays.
If he makes it, that's a real issue because
I think it is
again.
Too.
If he's supposed to, Gifford's out there as a special teams guy. You have Chaz Surratt out there.
It's a real problem. Then you're saying if he makes it, it's a real problem. I agree.
If he makes it, yeah, that's malpractice because if your special teams coordinator, who certainly was the one, and this is a guess, but I got to imagine they're the one who signed him, right? He got to pick. He's the only one who got new players this year in free agency. So I imagine that he had something to say about it, and he's not letting that guy practice with the ones on special teams, on kick coverage, and on punt coverage. Isn't that pretty telling? Like, I'd be stunned if he made the team, frankly, just given what I've already seen. And so if he does make the team, that would be stunning and not in a good way.
Well, I mean, he's being outplayed by Derek Canteen, clearly.
Yeah.
40 is outplaying 33, clearly.
Well, and Chase Lucas is absolutely playing better than him and is a good special teams player. Trey Brown has been better than him. So
who would be your top 6 corners? If I told you can have 6 corners, obviously we know your top 3. Who's 4, 5, 6?
Yeah, I mean, my 4 or 5. I mean, I would take Robinson personally, and I would
Flowers.
Just do and Flower. Yeah, Lenore, Green, Stout, Luter, Flowers, Robinson is who I would take. I don't think those are the best 6, and I don't think that. Did I know Lenore, Green, Stout, Luter, Flowers, Robinson 6?
Oh, you said Luter.
Yeah, Luter. I think Luter makes the team.
Okay.
Apologies. I would do the practice squad back and forth thing with Lucas so that you have a backup nickel that you trust. And I would put Robinson down pretty much every game. But I would want to keep Robinson on the roster. I wouldn't play the cut down day situation. If you want to cut him a little bit into the season to try to get him on the practice squad, I think you'd have a better shot of that. I would rather have Trey Brown than Lucas even, but Lucas has been good at camp. I mean, the preseason game was very good. He's looked good when I've seen him out there at camp. They, for some reason, really trust him, even though he was garbage last year. I think that my guess is that Robinson will get cut and that they'll keep Lucas on the 53. I think that's a mistake. I would definitely not.
Robinson will get plucked.
I think
any young corner that can play is going to get claimed because it's kind of like
Sammy Womack.
Lineman. Yeah. I mean, you lost Womack, you lost Jameson, you're going to lose Jacob Robinson. You're going to lose Luter. Yeah. I don't think you'd lose Chase Lucas. I think he'd get through. I think Trey Brown would get through.
I think so too.
I'd go with I'd try to and for that reason, or one of the reasons, I would try to retain my inventory, and I would go with the young guys, knowing that Chase Lucas is going to go through waivers, knowing that Trey Brown's going to clear waivers. Yeah. That's the route I would go. But I think that's a real problem. I think it's a real problem. If Saron Neal, because look at it this way: is he a safety or is he a corner? I
don't know what he
charts
does.
List him as a safety.
Well, what he should be is an unbelievable gunner, right? Like, because that's a perfect, like if you're a tweener between safety and corner, then you should be a really good gunner. He's not running with the ones as a gunner. Dallas Flowers is. That's not good.
Well, but they're also using Flowers in other special teams as a return man.
Yeah, and they
I
should
would
stop
say
doing
this.
that.
Yeah.
He's bad at that.
I would say this. If Saron Neal, if Saron Neal's going to make the roster and he beats out Richie Grant, I don't love it, but I'm okay with it. But if Saron Neal makes the roster and he beats out either Luter or Jacob Robinson, I got a major problem with it. You
I'm
can't
with you.
cut good corners. They get claimed. Then you're going to be on the waiver wire looking for corners. No, retain Robinson. He's a find. Retain Luter. He's big and long and athletic. Coach him up. That's what you have coaches for. Guess what? ESPN said the Niners are the third best coaching staff in the NFL. Prove it. Yeah. You got a bunch of young guys. Coach them. Don't keep cutting corners who could play from scrimmage, Samuel Womack, for guys who you trust a little bit more, have a little veteran influence, a little special teams role. It's like, be good from scrimmage. Be good from scrimmage.
I cannot state enough. Maybe I'm just totally misguided here. How much the 49ers are prioritizing special teams and how that is going to be a pretty significant tiebreaker for this 53-man roster. Can you give us quality special teams reps? And right now, in theory, Sierra Neal should. I have not seen it yet. There's no evidence that they are willing to let him do that right now. And that should be his job. He should, at least Gifford, you're tossing out there as a Sam linebacker because in theory he can set an edge because he has a little bit more size than Bethune, certainly more than Martin. Well, a lot more size than both of those guys. So you can, when you're playing 4-3 over, you need to set the edge as the Sam linebacker. And we saw how that went last year when they didn't have a guy with size to play that role. So, okay, that's fine. But he's in there for special teams. Junior Bergen's going to make this team not because he's a good receiver, but because he's a pretty impressive, given the limited sample we've seen, punt and kick returner. Okay, great. That you have a job on this team, and special teams is not going to be forgotten about. Sierra Neal was brought in, I think, ostensibly to be a special teamer, and he's running with the twos as far as I can tell. What are we doing here? You can't keep that guy on the roster. That's a sunk cost right there. Take the L. You got plenty of cap room. You'll live.
Jake Moody, real problem, fake problem.
Is there a problem right now with Jake Moody?
Well, I mean, yeah, I would say there's a problem from the standpoint of, I don't think he's a problem as far as how he's kicking. He looks great in camp.
Yeah.
But there's a problem that when he kicks with pressure in games, he's been great in camp before.
Of course.
So I guess it's a problem. Like, you're only there's a saying in showbiz, whether it's radio, television, wherever, you're only as good as your last show.
Yeah.
Well, the same thing can be said in sports. You're only as good as your last season. And his last season ended miserably. So
yeah, I'm familiar.
Last we checked, he was a real problem. Are you going to take made field goals in the heat of Santa Clara sun with no pressure at all, really, because nothing's on the line? Right. Is that going to sway you to believe that Jake Moody, who for whatever reason didn't make kicks last year in the second half of the year, is going to make kicks going forward? So you're obviously a believer that he's rehabilitated from last year, because last we checked, he sucked.
Yes. Yeah. I think he's healthy. I think that his new hamstring stretch setup has been beneficial. And I think that if he has one bad game, he gets cut and they call up the NFL office and ask for the list, because there's a list at the NFL office, which they probably don't want people telling people about this, but there's a list in the NFL office with a list of kickers. It's like a Facebook, like an old Facebook, pre-internet Facebook, where you'd flip through the pages and, and you just say, hey, I need the list of kickers so that we can call in and have some tryouts. Hey, Greg Joseph, you up to anything these days? If he has a bad game, if he misses 2 of 3 field goals, it doesn't matter if he makes one from 60, he's getting cut, and they'll just call somebody else in. And like Matthew Wright looked good last year, come on down, and they're going to be playing kicker roulette like half of the other teams in the NFL. And you know what? Fine. So is it a problem? No, because there's an easy rectification to all of it. You just call the league office and ask for the list. And then you bring in somebody else, and maybe they're the best kicker in the NFL. They just needed the shot, and maybe they suck too, and you keep running the game. It's like the long snapper situation they had like 6 years ago, where they couldn't keep a long snapper healthy, and eventually they just called Tabor Pepper out of nowhere, and it's like, oh, I guess you'll just be here for the next 5 years. And then they finally got a special teams coordinator who knows what he's talking about. It's like, this guy sucks. And they go and they get the fire hydrant John Weeks, and now they have the best long snapper in the game. Like, I'm not going to. I thought that the charade of the competition in camp wasn't worth the trouble, because again, it's a situation where if a guy sucks, you can cut Jake Moody tomorrow and you can bring somebody else in, and the beat goes on. Because no one understands anything about kicking, least of all the kickers. It's all a weird head game. And maybe Jake Moody goes on to another team and is the best kicker in the NFL. But I saw some guy that I didn't even know about in Jacksonville kick a 70-yarder. The best kickers in the NFL were playing in the UFL 2 and 3 years ago, respectively. Like, y'all want to stress about Jake Moody? Go ahead. It's just, here's how it goes. If he has a bad game, he gets cut. They bring in somebody else. That doesn't seem like a problem to me. That just seems like some chore that you'll have to deal with perhaps down the line.
Back to life says Moody is fine, Larry.
He might be awesome. Legitimately, he's got great leg. I like his accuracy, but like, no one knows anything about this shit. So including, they're paying a special teams coordinator, 2 special teams coordinators, a lot of money with a lot of acumen. And even these guys are just like, I don't know. The kickers, man.
I mean, even Shanahan's like, he's the football coach. He's supposed to like know every fine point of the game and everything. And he's like, yeah, they're going through the uprights. It's like
legit. Like,
that's where we're at. That's where we're at. It's like nobody. You're right. Nobody knows if these guys are going to make it, not make it. It's like you're just hoping upon hope. I'll say this: do you think, like, if I told you I knew the whereabouts of Greg Joseph, where would you say Greg Joseph is? Would you say Greg Joseph is wherever he lives, or Greg Joseph is in Santa Clara, California?
Oh, I definitely think he's where he lives, because the 49ers would never pay for an extended stay America room for a kicker. Greg Joseph is back at the commune where all the kickers live together and away to call from an NFL team. And that's where the list comes in. Like,
where is Greg Joseph? Do you follow him on Snapchat? Does he have that little?
No, he's probably in,
You want to know where your kids are? You can find out.
Probably if it's Smyrna Beach, Florida, practicing at a high school field every day. And, Greg, I'll tell you this, Greg Joseph's probably going to play on 2 other NFL teams this year because he's at the top of the list. You need one? Come on in. It's like an Uber. You just call up a kicker.
Greg, when you're sleeping at night and you picture yourself kicking, are you in a Dolphins uniform, a Browns uniform, a Panthers uniform, a Titans uniform, a Buccaneers uniform, a Viking uniform, a Packer uniform, a Lion uniform, a Giant uniform, a Commander uniform, a Jet uniform, or a Niner uniform? Because he's played for them all.
That's what I'm saying. Meanwhile, Brandon Aubrey's laying bricks, and or was it Bates was selling bricks? He's unbelievable for the Lions. Brandon Aubrey was just like hanging out. Like, no one knows any of this stuff. And I'll tell you this, I spent a lot of time back in a past life dealing with kicker stuff as it pertained to recruiting. And I got pretty tight in with sort of the kicker industrial complex. And even they don't know what the hell's going on with these guys. No idea. I knew a high school kid that could bomb one from 65. He had every offer in the book. Unbelievable kicker. Goes to Georgia. Full ride as a kicker, which is pretty rare. And he was good at Georgia. Sniffed the NFL for like a week. Like, no one knows. No one knows. And you say, oh, well, he doesn't have it between the ears. Listen, at this point, it doesn't look good that he was a 3rd-round pick, but it doesn't matter. Once you get into camp, it doesn't matter. It Doesn't matter if you're a first-round pick or undrafted free. It doesn't matter. And at this point, all that new car smell is out. You've already gotten the depreciation on this thing. If you need to cut them, you can just cut them. It's not an issue. I'm
This
sure
is a
Greg
great
Joseph
idea.
is available.
I have become deaf destroyer of words. Says Jed has a whole gaggle of kickers in his soccer team. What if the Niners use their 2 soccer teams that they own as proving grounds for potential kickers to try to discover the next, whatever, Morton Anderson,
I mean, it's not a bad
Justin
idea.
Tucker. All right. We've saved the best for last.
Have we now?
Real or fake, the wide receiver issue with the Niners? Is it a real issue or is it a fake issue? And this one I think is really interesting because there are a lot. Well, I don't want to lead you in any direction. I'll just tell
No. Feel
I'll
free
throw
to
it to
lead
you.
me.
Well, I mean, I would just say this. It's easy right now when you're looking at a bunch of guys like, Malik Turner, Robbie Chosen, Tariq Owens, Junior Bergen. You're looking at these guys going, they got real issues. Where's Debo? Where's Ayuk? They don't. And in the present, like week 1, they may have real issues because they're not going to have Debo. They're not going to have Ayuk. They may not have Jennings. If they do have Jennings, he'll be rusty. They're not going to have Demarcus Robinson. They're likely not going to have Jordan Watkins. And they're probably not going to have somebody else because they lose somebody every time they play football. And there's 2 more games between now and then. That means that, like right now, their healthy receivers that are good that will be there week 1 for sure right now are Ricky Pearsall.
Yep.
Now the second guy would be Jacob Cowing,
who is
that doesn't
technically
scare
the 2.
you. I mean, that's the 2.
That's
Russell Gage,
There's your
Junior
3.
Bergen, and maybe Robbie Chosen. That's your receiving core right now.
Yeah.
Are you where? I mean,
this is a 5-alarm fire.
But
Larry.
Ayuk's coming back. No,
he isn't.
But I mean,
No,
look
he
at it
isn't.
this way. He is coming back. He's definitely coming back. He was
okay.
running on the field the other day. I don't know when he's coming back. But he's coming back at Thanksgiving. But my point is this: eventually, you could have Ayuk. You only have room on a roster for 5 or 6 guys.
That's right.
Ayuk, Pearsall, Jennings, Robinson, Watkins.
Oh yeah.
You're at 5 right there, and you still have Cowing, Gage, and you want Bergen on the roster. So if everybody's rolling, at some point you could have 8 receivers, which may be 3 too many. So on one hand, you could be too deep later in the year, but you could be too deep early in the year. So what say you? How is this a real problem at receiver or is this a fake problem at receiver?
Well, I mean, maybe the 49ers can call up the NFL and be like, hey, can we just get an extension on that whole week 1 thing? We just need a couple more weeks and then we're going to be really good. It's a huge issue. Ricky Pearsall should have been your number 4 receiver going into this year. That was if you scripted it all out, you asked John Lynch a year ago, Ricky Pearsall is your number 4 receiver going into this year because you have Robinson or Debo, whomever, but you have a solid Z. You have Ayuk as your X, and then you have Jennings as your 3rd down guy, 3rd and 1. And then Ricky Pearsall comes in and he can play all the spots, and they can pick and choose where they throw him in there, and he can be a fun impact player, kind of a gadget player. He's your number 1, and there's not even close to somebody who's number 2. Not even close. It's Ricky Pearsall or bust for as long as Juwan Jennings' calf is just going to be a little bit tight, which might be a while. As long as Demarcus Robinson is going to miss the first 3 games, right? And then Ayuk, Matt Barros is an incredible journalist, and this has nothing to do with Barros. This is not impugning him in any way. But when he asked, specificity is important. When he asked Kyle about the wide receiver room the other day, it was all bunched together, right? Like, how are you feeling about the receiver room? You have a lot of injuries, as you just laid out. And he goes, oh, well, with, Watkins and all, like, I'm looking at week 6 for a lot of guys, and it could be earlier than week 6. It could be week 3. It could be later than week 6, but I look at week 6 as sort of this line of demarcation. I'm with you, Larry. I don't think Ayuk's coming back until like Thanksgiving. That knee injury was significant.
Yeah.
So this is a lost year. Brandon Ayuk doesn't exist this year. Anything you get from him is gravy, pardon the pun, given the Thanksgiving reference.
I agree with you.
So
I
you're
think that's
down
the
year
right
one.
attitude. I think that's the right approach too. Do
So now
not
Pearsall's-
do not try to rush him back.
Right.
This is his career. This is his
100%.
his entire career. Give him the wide berth to do not be like looking for him in week 5 and
Don't rush him
and,
back like they rushed
6
in
and
Ricky
7.
Pearsall because they needed a body. Like
Yeah.
you're healed, right?
Give him all the time that he needs.
They cannot afford another injury. Full stop. And let's also be clear about this. Like, yeah, it should be fine. Eventually. They play 3 division games in the first 5 weeks. So by the time it's fine, they might already be out in the NFC West. I mean, it's unlikely, but it's possible that the NFC West is kissed goodbye by week 5 because they're 0-3 in the division. Because I think Arizona's a hell of a football team. I think Seattle is dynamic on defense, and they really made a push last year with the pass rush late in the campaign. And I think Mike McDonald's got something brewing that's diabolical. And then who the hell knows with the Rams, but maybe they'll have rounded into form by week 5. Their preseason will be over by then. So you're going to roll out Russell Gage. You're going to ask Junior Bergen to run a route. And then Jacob Cowing, who we all agreed looked really good at OTAs. It's a funny thing that happens. I feel so stupid now. At OTAs or at any sort of non-contact football activity, it's the guys who have great foot speed, who can get in and out of breaks real fast. They just look so much better because that's all you're showing. And then, hey, this guy can hit you now. And suddenly that doesn't seem to matter as much. And all of that pop that you showed at OTAs when no one could actually pop you doesn't manifest at all. And it's early yet on Cowing. He gets every opportunity to show that he has, in fact, turned the corner. But last year he had 4 catches. That's your number 2 receiver for week 1 in a division game. That is a 5-alarm fire. And yes, it's going to get better, but that is a pretty deep hole to start out on. And I'm concerned because I think Gage actually looks fine, but Tariq Owens rounds every route. I mean, he might as well be parallel park. It's brutal. Hodgins has he's just slow. Robbie Chosen's out there looking to die. I mean, he's just so skinny. And I know that Mac kind of likes him. It's only on 9 routes. We know what Malik Turner is at this point. Watkins was running 1 as an X. Not because they thought that he was worthy of that spot, but because they just needed a body for that. For him to go out is brutal for this team. But again, we're talking about a rookie wide receiver. For him to go out and that being brutal really highlights how dire the situation is. And it really highlights like DeMarcus Robinson being this critical to the passing offense. Like that's not a good sentence to utter about a team going into a football season. I think DeMarcus Robinson is a totally fine player. He might be the most average wide receiver in the NFL, which is a compliment, right? Like there are a lot worse, there are a lot better. He is right there in the middle. That guy's your clear-cut number 2. And this Jennings situation, I think, has way more than meets the eye. I'm concerned.
Okay, so you're saying it's a real problem. You're saying it's a real problem. So, and I agree with everything you said. I think it is a real problem as well. And
I'd sign somebody.
I would say, what's that?
I'd sign somebody.
So that's that. You're taking me right where I want to go.
I knew.
We're not just complainers. We're idea
problem
men.
solvers.
We're problem solvers. We're idea men. So there's a lot of different ways to look at this for sure. And, Matt Barrows asked about Amari Cooper and said, what about Amari Cooper? And he's like, well, it might be the right move now, but it might not be the right move later. And they're hemming and hawing. And I don't know if it's about cash or if it's about his age or blocking other receivers. But there's a lot of options. There are a lot of receivers, and there's a lot of different ways to play your hand. But there's no doubt that if you look at this objectively right now, I think it's a very reasonable position to say on week 1, just based on what we're looking at right now, that the Niners will be without in week 1, Ayuk, Jennings, Robinson, Watkins, and obviously they've moved on from Debo. So they're down quite a few guys. So there is an opportunity for some receiver that's not on this team to impact this situation. Yeah. Who do you want it to be? You can, I did this whole exercise last week. There's Tyreek Hill rumors. There's Amari Cooper. Keenan Allen has gone back to the Chargers. He's off the board. Yeah. But there's trade options if you want to go try to make a trade. There's crazy options if you want to go try to pick up, Kadarius Toney. He's crazy.
Showed up to his first day at the NFL without cleats.
I mean, he's got issues too. But yeah. What do you give me? I've got a name. You know me. Of course I got a name. Give me somebody, and you did your own draft guide. So Dieter and Hutch did their own draft guide. He's got a pretty good feel for the league, and you got a pretty good feel for what's out there. Is there a move you would like to make for a receiver or two at the deadline? Because there's definitely, especially in the first, let's say, month, there's room for a receiver. The question is, what kind of receiver? Who do you want? What are you looking for? Based on what the Niners have done recently, right? They brought in Robbie Chosen. What does he have? Why do they like him? He was here. He knew the offense. They brought in Malik Turner. What does he have in common with Chosen? He was here. So like through this camp period, they're going for guys. They don't want to coach anybody up. They obviously don't like the guys that are out there right now. And they're like, hey, give us guys that at least can practice and know the plays, and we'll get healthy. But at the cut down, now we're talking about players that they may have liked in the draft process. Now we're talking about players that they may have tried to trade for. Now we're talking about Kendrick Bourne shaking free of New England and others around the league that could fit the 49ers. So if you could add a receiver, what receiver do you want to add?
Well, he doesn't even play receiver anymore, Larry. His name is Bo Melton.
He plays corner. I like that's a good one.
They have converted him to cornerback in Green Bay. Bo Melton might be my favorite football player. I love Bo Melton.
This is Max Melton's brother. Max plays for the Cardinals. He plays corner, and now Bo plays corner. He moved from receiver to corner for Green Bay. They have so many receivers.
That's right.
This guy's a great athlete.
But he was a hell of a receiver for Green Bay. And he's coming from a system that is, pretty cut and paste. And sadly, it does seem as if they're just going to keep him as a corner and waste what could be a Hall of Fame career. No, I'm kidding. But I just love Bo Melton, and I would, if I'm the Niners, it's like I think that the best way to go about this, the most practical way to go about this, is to just pick up somebody that somebody else cuts. The Gabe Davis of it all, they've brought him in. They talked to him. I'm sure there was a money thing. I'm sure there was some injury concerns that carried forward. I don't think
they weren't the only ones, right? Because the Steelers looked at him too, and they didn't sign him.
There is the Amari Cooper thing. Perhaps there's resolution. The rumor got brought up again that he's like retired or doesn't want to play football anymore. That's been floating around for 6 months. That was floating around at the draft. At a certain point, it doesn't seem like he wants to play football anymore. That's his prerogative. Good for him. He had a hell of a career. He made a ton of money. Great guy. Love Amari Cooper as a dude. So more power to him. I'll give you one more name here. Efren Chisholm, who undrafted free agent out of Eastern Washington, showed up at the Shrine Bowl. They didn't even have a number for him and dominated the practices. And he's on the Patriots. Patriots probably have too many receivers, one of which is really good in Pop Douglas. I'd go take a look at Efren Chisholm. I'm not so sure on Rick Nash, who signed with the the Falcons, San Jose State guy, big body. It sounded like the Niners didn't really like him. Antoine Wells, I don't know if there's a spot for him with the Giants. I really liked his tape. Another Ole Miss receiver. But Chisholm has, I mean, you can watch the preseason. Like, he looks good in the preseason, and it seems like he's going to be shortchanged for a Patriots team that really shouldn't be shortchanging anybody. That's a guy I would bring in. I'd try to find.
You think he's going to get cut?
He might get cut. That would be number one on the list.
Whoa, that would be. I would definitely go after.
I'll give you one more name.
If
one more
Efton
name.
Chisholm III from Eastern Washington
Yeah.
gets cut by the Patriots, I would absolutely.
He's number one on the
him.
list. There's
He'd
one more
really
name
high on the list.
This was the guy that I was higher on than perhaps anybody else, maybe including his own family during the draft process. I thought Andrew Armstrong, who led the SEC
Arkansas?
in receptions last year, was fantastic. I don't know what else is going on with Andrew Armstrong. I know that he's on the older end. I know that he transferred in, but he was awesome for a god-awful Arkansas offense last year. He was the only good thing they had going. He's on the Dolphins. I doubt he makes the Dolphins. I don't think Andrew Armstrong changes the paradigm for the San Francisco 49ers, but if you need a body, I'd take a flyer on Andrew Armstrong. I think he can be something.
This is probably what I'm probably best at, is finding this gem that sifts through the sifting through the trash looking for the gem. I've got one here that, and to me, this one was impacted by some news that I heard yesterday, or maybe it was today, that the Chiefs are not going to lose Rashee Rice at the beginning of the year. Mm-hmm. They're not going to lose Rashee Rice until later in the year.
Right.
So they're going to get to play the first 4 games. He's not going to meet with Goodell and the people in the New York offices till Kansas City rolls into New York.
Right.
So that, unbelievably, that's like after week 4 or 5. So he's going to be on the roster to start the year. And Kansas City's depth at receiver, they go Xavier Worthy, Hollywood Brown, Rashee Rice, Tyquan Thornton, Juju Smith-Schuster, Jalen Royals from Utah State was their draft pick, but they also kind of like, Sky Moore, Nico Remigio, Brownlee. They got a bunch of receivers, but they have Elijah Badger.
There it is.
And Elijah Badger started at ASU. Okay. So he's got Badger. This guy's got the Ricky Pearsall, connection. He started at ASU. He returned kicks at ASU in 2023. He was a kick returner. Okay. Then he goes to Florida, transfers to Florida, and he's very versatile. Florida played him at the X. They played him at the Z. They played him in the slot. They used him all over the place. So he's very, very versatile. He's a little bit over 6'1", 6'1 3/8", 200 pounds, 32 and an eighth inch arms. But he's got the speed to stack corners man to man. And he's got 4.43 speed for the stopwatch, but he plays way faster than that. He had a 1.53 10-yard split. He's very quick. He's really effective with these head and shoulder fakes, and he's got this stop and start thing going. Very strong receiver. Like all young receivers, right? He needs work, on the precision of his route running and that kind of thing. But this guy only had 2 drops over his last 2 college seasons combined. He catches the ball. He's a yak threat. He'll make defenders miss. He can run through arm tackles. He became a vertical threat at Florida. And then I watched him in the first preseason game. It's actually on right now. It just reminded me watching this. He caught 2 balls for 16 yards in the Arizona preseason opener. He had 2 targets. He caught both. And, so he's not going to make their roster. I don't think there's any chance. I would give him like maybe a 2%, 5% chance of probably making the 53. They're going to try to squeeze him through their to the practice squad. And if I'm the Niners, I would take him and I would put him on the active roster in September, and I would see if I'm right. I think I am. I think you got something here. I think this guy is going to be a really good football player for a lot of years. And I really like him. I liked him in college, and liked him in the draft process. And I think he's just, he's on a good Kansas City team. I don't know why he chose to go there. But
Yeah, that was
I think he would be a good cut for them, but a great get for the Niners. I'd even trade a pick, a day 3 pick, a late day 3 pick to jump the line, so I didn't have to fight everybody in the waiver market for him. Because I think he's a kind of guy that can make the roster. I mean, stop screwing around with too many Russell Gages. Nothing against Gage; he was a good player, but I mean he hasn't been good for a couple of years for a reason. He's been hurt a lot, and this is an opportunity. It's like, once again, off exactly what I said off the start of the stream. Pick a lane, Niners. What are you? Are you building? And you've got all these young players, and you're building your next great team. If you're building, then go after Elijah Badger. If you're not building, then get special team bodies that know the offense, and veterans who can't run anymore, who just are going to be they'll be at the right place at the right time, but they're never going to make any dynamic plays. Mm-hmm. This guy, I think, has the potential to someday emerge as a very good receiver. So that's the guy I'd go for, Elijah Badger.
I had him in my top 150 overall prospects.
You liked him in the draft.
I couldn't get enough of him. He was one of my favorite players. Jackson Meeks out of Syracuse. Don't know where he landed, but he's an undrafted free agent that I liked a lot. Who else? Ricky White. Getting into Ricky White.
He's in Seattle.
Yeah.
Right? He went to Seattle.
Jackson Meeks is with the Lions. I haven't checked in with the Lions lately. Something to keep in mind. Started at Georgia, transferred to Syracuse. Jackson Meeks, a name to keep an eye on there. Again, I don't know if any of these guys solve the problem, right? But it's a body with more upside. That's probably not what Kyle Shanahan's going for. I would see if Julio Jones has been working out. I'd be willing to give Julio another shot.
That's interesting. Obviously he's a guy that Kyle Shanahan knows and loves and appreciated for a lot of years.
I'm just wondering where it doesn't feel like Kyle. Conley retired, and in earnest, it doesn't feel like Kyle has a safety blanket veteran receiver that he can go to. I think he wants Gage to be that guy, and they're using him on special teams like he's going to be that guy. So. Maybe one. Do a young guy.
Last one before we get out of here. You're a football fan. You've watched a lot of the preseason. What do you think? Is there you have non-Niner thoughts and opinions, I'm sure. What have you noticed in the preseason that's caught your eye that makes you go, that's really interesting?
Seattle's defense.
You're a big fan.
Has a real shot. I don't know if they're going to be very good in week 1, but I will tell you this. They're going to be chaotic. They are coming from every angle. Like Mike McDonald was tame last year. He was tame in the preseason, and it was exotic. He was doing some interesting stuff in preseason. So I can only imagine what he's going to dial up for week 1 in the regular season. I think Seattle, I'm in on Minnesota. Minnesota, I think I mentioned this to you maybe the last time we streamed, which was months ago, that Minnesota is my pick in the NFC. So I haven't seen anything that talks me off of that yet, even though their receiver situation is kind of challenging right now. Maybe they're looking at some of these guys. But Seattle, Arizona and Seattle, both of them, I want stock. And Seattle, particularly that one preseason game, I'm like, oh, we're doing this in year 2. Mike McDonald's got this thing dialed up in year 2. And that defense, don't forget, gave Brock Purdy absolute fits on a Christmas to forget when he was with the Baltimore Ravens. That's why he got hired in Seattle. He needed a year. He's ready to rumble now. And then I'm going to throw one more at you.
Yeah.
The joke that I've been telling people, and it's not a very good joke, is that the best player at 49ers training camp has been the schedule, with the way that everyone's talking. Like, oh, well, the schedule's so easy that, the Niners can't help but be good. You'd think that was their best player. They talked about so much. Oh, the schedule. This is why I never want to put too much stock in the schedule, because shit changes year to year. The Niners can go from the Super Bowl to winning 6 games, and bad teams can get good. I don't think the Carolina Panthers are going to be a particularly good team because their defense is god-awful, but I think they might have something on offense here. I wasn't the biggest Tetairoa McMillan fan, but he gives them exactly what they need at the X-wide receiver position. He looked like him and Bryce Young had a connection that is going to reap immediate and awesome benefits. This Coker kid that they got, he's like their fourth receiver. He's better than anybody other than Pearsall the Niners have right now. That's at least going to play in week 1. I think Carolina might actually have like not top 10, but definitely top half of the NFL offense. And if you're already just penciling that in as an easy win, I would, I'm not saying they're going to lose that game to the Carolina Panthers on Monday Night Football. What a pick, ESPN. That's how you get people to pay $30 a month. But my goodness, I think Carolina might be a feisty team in an NFC South, which is going to have a lot of shootouts.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I'll say about that game, it was the Browns. They did lose by 20. Andy Dalton was pretty much the guy that night. He was 13 of 19 for 101 yards. He won't be playing. I will say this, though, I love Amani Bailey and from TCU. He had 3 carries for 21 yards, and I don't think he's going to make that team. There's Chuba Hubbard, there's Rico Dowdell, there's Etienne, there's Blackshear. They got other guys. I'm not sure if Amani Bailey's going to make it. He is electric. I would definitely like to see an Amani Bailey. I know the Niners, there's only so many backs you can have, but man, if that guy's out there, I would love.
They're trying them all, by the way.
He's electric.
They're running through him, man. They're calling up anyone they ever knew.
I know. I will say this: the couple things that jumped out to me so far. One, I think the Patriots are back. I think I think Drake May is going to be solid. They're just they got a really, really good secondary. It's like you forget about New England. They've got, the secondary. The secondary is really solid. You got Kyle Duggar at strong safety. Jabril Peppers.
They benched Kyle Duggar today. Here's how good they are. Kyle Duggar's second string on that team now.
Well, they should, because the kid from Cal, Craig Woodson, is fantastic. He looked really good. You have Peppers. You have Christian Gonzalez. You got Marcus Jones, who's a really good nickel. They also have DJ James. They signed Carlton Davis away from the Buccaneers. They've got some guys. They actually have some guys. They've had a really good offseason. They added Travion Henderson, lots of receivers. They've improved their O-line. The quarterback's better. I'll say this. I like that backup quarterback, not Dobbs, but Ben Woolridge. He's a Bay Area kid from Pleasanton. He looked really good against the Commanders last week. So I'm bullish on the Patriots. And then I've always been a big fan, and I know a lot of people weren't a big fan of him, but I love Cam Ward. And Cam Ward is showing in the Titans camp. He's yelling at these guys. He's getting up at 5 a.m. He's doing all the work. He's just showing. He's exerting his leadership capabilities. He's going to be really good. I don't know if it will happen right away, but I'm a big Cam Ward fan. That was a great get. They have their leader. He is going to be a difference maker. I think Tennessee, even though they had Levis, they made the right decision to just say, screw that. Let's go.
Oh, really?
Cam.
You think that they should have moved on from Will Levis, who put out perhaps the worst quarterbacking season anyone's ever seen?
A lot of people were like, hey, man, he's a young kid with talent and he's got a big arm. Don't go quarterback. They have so many other needs.
So was Josh Rosen. Cam
looks great, though.
I'll tell you this.
Great.
Tennessee, I'm not willing to do it because I haven't put in any time on them. And I'm not the biggest Cam Ward guy. But anyone's better because it was also Mason Rudolph on that team last year. So it's like, hey, two cases of addition by subtraction. And then that team,
their offensive line was horrible last year.
True.
And they brought in Dan Moore, Kevin Zeitler.
A good deal of talent on last year's team. I thought last year's team was like a great bet for the over. I think it was set at like 6.5, 7. And I'm like, I like a lot of their defense. I liked a lot of the talent on that team. And when it fell apart, it fell all the way apart. We're going to find out if Callahan can coach, because when you have a disaster season like the Titans had last year, most of the time, in the NFL, they'll one and done you. Most of the time they look at the coach and be like, is this guy any good? And I never got any of that coming out of Nashville. Now you get the number 1 pick. You got Ward. You already have Ridley. You have enough offensive talent now. You got old man Callahan working on your offensive line with some talent there now too. The defense still has two absolute all-world players on in the middle in Sweat and Simmons. Like this Titans team, I'm not saying playoffs or anything, but they should be mediocre. They should not be picking in the top 10 next year if their head coach can coach it all. That's what I'll say.
Well, and also, it just like if for those who, the back to the schedule thing on the Niners, a lot of people think the Niners have just a cake schedule, and I get it because
it's the easiest schedule
it's the easiest schedule. It's the easiest schedule in like 15 years or something like that. Yeah. But the last two teams that have had the easiest schedule also finished with losing records. Also, I think it has to be worth noting that the Niners went 1-5 in the division, and the division sets up to be absolute six wars this year. You love Seattle. Other people love Arizona. Some people love the Rams. I think any way you slice it, what we can say definitively is that none of these division games are going to be cake, and none of them are going to be gimmies. So that's 6 tough games right there. I would say if you're really going to look at the Niners schedule, if you really take a close look at it again, what you're going to see is they got 5 or 6 games that on paper they absolutely should win. That's it.
Cleveland.
That's it. But I mean, that's in Cleveland, and the last time they played there, they lost.
Yeah. Much better Cleveland team that time around, to be fair.
Yeah. But, I mean, it also just kind of goes to show. I mean, it's like there's a lot of people going, well, now the Niners are saying, what did you think of Shanahan's comments to Sirius XM where he was like, hey, we hope we can just, make the playoffs and get better as the year goes on.
It's 100% the right way to go about it.
I think he's being honest, to be honest.
Yeah. I think that was the most candid he's been, right? Like when he talks to the local media, he understands that it's going to the local market for all intents and purposes, even though it's disseminated everywhere in this very flat world we live in. And all fans, if you have the standard of success that the 49ers have had historically, don't want to hear about just making the playoffs. I got no problem with that. That's a fair standard to have if you're a San Francisco 49ers fan. Super Bowl or bust. I don't want to hear about anything else. This is not a Super Bowl team. It isn't. Doesn't mean they can't make the playoffs. But everything that I've seen off of this Niners team just reeks 9-8. Sometimes that's 10-7. Sometimes that's 8-9. But they just reek right down the middle. And that they're building towards something perhaps impressive next year if they can get those 9-8 wins this season. 26 could really be something special with a lot of guys coming into their second year. Second half of the season could be special. But it's going to be tough sledding for this squad. You got 11 rookies. They're going to be trusting like 6 first-time starters in week 1. And that's taking into account something. Then there's going to be more injuries, right? Then they're going to play football, and you're going to need more first-time starters. And we saw how that happened last year where, hey, that first wave of injuries happened, and there was nobody to replace them. And the guys that were supposed to hold on, free agent signings, they sucked, and the rookies weren't ready. And maybe something a little bit happened late in the year, but not really. Not really. And they won 6 games. I'm not saying that's in the cards again. What I am saying is if you plan on making the playoffs, a good way of doing that is to take care of the division games early. And you get 3 in the first 5 weeks. If you come out of that 2-1, I'm willing to buy anything 49ers. But you could easily come out of that 0-3, in which case I can already hear it now. Kyle coming up to the podium being like, I don't know why you guys got all excited about us. We've been building for 26 this whole time. Do you see how many rookies we got? Like they can, Larry, you're right. They have not chosen a path because they are going to take whatever path looks most fortuitous whenever their destiny is decided on the field. They are playing both sides. That way they always come out on top. They are too young to be successful.
If they win, then hey,
why did you guys not believe in us?
Why didn't you believe in us? And if
we
they
have
lose,
Hall of Fame
like,
players
hey,
and great coaches. We got we know what we're doing. You guys suck. And if they suck, they're going to be like, why'd you believe in us? That's stupid. We have so many rookies. It's brilliant.
Come on, only a fool would see a team this young could have a chance.
That's right. That's right. Exactly. They're never going to pick a lane. The lane will be chosen for them, and then they'll pretend that was what they were trying to do all along.
Let's hit some supers and bolt for the door. This isn't a super, but this guy's so negative I had to go. You guys are such doomers on the Niners. These are the two biggest crying sports reporters in the Bay Area. We don't
I can cry. I can cry on cue. I'm that good.
We don't do rah stuff. I mean, if it comes off a little negative, you know what? Whatever.
People always say know your audience. Like, you live in an a la carte world. Like, know who you're clicking on. What do you want me to tell you? That Russell Gage is going to catch 100 passes for 1,000 yards this year? You don't want to live in reality. That's your prerogative, but you're not dragging me down with you.
There's somebody up or down a dial or button that probably is saying, give me a 4, give me a 9, give me an E, give me an R, go join them. MSQ said, Krug, you're the effing reason I hopped on the Pleasance hype train in May, and I won't have the conductor of the Pleasance hype train change course, LOL.
Much like the start of this stream, I'm happy to take over.
I'm off the Pleasance train, man. I am. I mean, hey, let's just say this, man. As Allen Iverson said, it's practice. Now we're getting into real stuff, and it ain't practice. And suddenly Pleasance doesn't look good. But you know what? I'm one of those people that I'm always open-minded. I go to every practice open-minded. I haven't decided. Tomorrow's a new day. If he's badass, go out there and show me you're badass, young man, and I'll say it. I'll say it on the show, and I'll say it with my chest. I'll say it boldly. But if you suck and you can't play, I will say that as well. And that's just the way it's going to be. James Foster says, who has the best season? Cowing, Watkins, or JJ? I'm going to say Watkins. I think you need real speed, but you also have to have durability. Cowing has speed, and Watkins has speed, but durability. JJ, I think, is going to, not playing at all in camp is not a great way to go. I would say a soft tissue injury in September is probably going to be par for the course. So I'll say Watkins. I'll go with the guy who has a future over the guy who has a past.
I agree with you that Watkins is a better option than Cowing. By the way, Watkins has a soft tissue injury currently. That is a high ankle sprain that he just didn't know about. It's a weird one. They're like, he didn't even report it after it happened. Now he's out for a month. Love that. If it was a playoff game tomorrow, he'd play. It's just the only thing running through my head. It's got to be Jennings. He's got a lot to play for fiscally. He's going to push this thing. He didn't practice last year. He almost had 1,000 yards. I don't disagree with the injury risk and the probability that he's going to miss some time, but I don't think it's a very high bar to be the best of these three receivers right now.
James Foster in the house. So that was James Foster. Jake Moody in the house. Hey, Jake.
Hey, Jake.
Welcome in. Hey,
congratulations on your win of the kicker battle royale.
And sweet, bright orange shoes. I like them. Jake Moody, the more pressure I have, the better I get. Also, when I'm healthy, I'm automatic, and my special teams coach believes in me over his own guy. Better believe I'm him.
I believe it.
There you go.
It's only Larry that's naysaying Jake Moody, and he's the only one. No one has ever said anything bad about Jake Moody, but this just crying doomsday.
I'm kind of against anybody who says about themselves, I'm him.
Yeah, but, I'm with you.
It's like, it's generally it's kind of I don't know. It just it rubs me wrong. Mark Mick says, second favorite show next to Krug and Cohn, Dieter's back. Okay, well, you know what? I appreciate
Love coming in second.
Yeah, Dieter.
It's $5 for Larry. I don't know.
and Dieter, Dieter's outstanding, as you guys all know. That's why there's so many people here. MSQ.
What is with the him stuff?
I know, seriously. They said Mariota was him in 2015 for Tennessee, and then
y'all just learn about pronouns? Jesus Christ.
Seriously, I hate that expression. That one and he's good people. MSQ. There's nothing worse than changing
brutal.
your singulars and your plurals. MSQ. History could repeat itself for Ward and the Titans.
He could suck. We all agree. No one knows. It's the Titans.
Remember the Titans. Titus Moeller. What is your level of Watkins route running? What's your eval of Watkins route running ability? I like it. I like his route running ability. I like this guy. This was one of only 3 players that I actually mocked to the 49ers that they actually took. I was a big fan of Watkins. I thought he was going to be the greatest draft pick of all time because he was projected by the draft people to go undrafted or go in round 7. Then, like right before the draft, they moved him up when I think some of the indications got out that he was going higher. The Niners took him in the 4th. It's easy to say it's a reach, but the bottom line is, when you play in the SEC and you're productive and you have measurables, I'm drafting you. Okay, that's it. That's it. There is no higher football league than the SEC in the college game. If you have and you produced within that league and you went to the combine and showed that you had big time pro athleticism and measurables, yes, I'm drafting you. You have that subsection, the intersection, if you will, of great athletes and great production in a big time conference. You show me the guys that are in the draft over the last, in your memory, that played in a great conference, produced at an incredible level, were awesome testing athletes, and failed. It just virtually doesn't happen. This guy is going to be really good. You've already seen it.
Trent Richardson.
That's a good one. But he was really slow. And it's funny. I'll give you another one. This is before your time, so it's a little unfair. But Huey Richardson.
Oh, that's
played for Florida.
Yeah.
And he was great in the SEC.
Yeah.
And he did nothing in the pros. And he had only 4 reps of 225. He wasn't strong at all for a defensive end. The other guy who I loved at Florida, another guy who was great, his name was Charlton. I forget it wasn't Taco Charlton, but there was a guy named Charlton who went in the first round in the 80s from Florida who was supposed to be great. Guy looked amazing too. Nothing.
Yeah. I'll say this on Watkins. I was a bigger fan of Antoine Wells. That offense that they ran at Ole Miss is a little video gamey. So the transferable skills for a lot of those guys, maybe not 1-to-1, but for Watkins, it has proven to be 1-to-1. He has a great polish about his route running, and you can really see it when you watch the guys that are effectively replacing him, the veterans that have kind of been around for a while but aren't very good, or like a Tyreek Owens. You watch them, and it's not as crisp. It doesn't have the same pop out of the breaks. He's got a real shot, but we should note in that preseason game, great catch, right? 50 yards, off to the races. But he's also responsible for Mac Jones's interception in that game because he ran he ran too deep of a route. The ball got delivered to the spot he was supposed to be. He was nowhere near it, but the cornerback was. So this is why Kyle doesn't like playing rookie receivers. This is why it was, they were forced to play Pearsall last year because they ran out of bodies. And now Brock is telling everybody what we kind of knew in the moment, which is that Ricky didn't know what he was doing. Debo's telling him how to line up. He's not running the right, timing's way off, all this stuff. Doesn't get any practice. Watkins' high ankle injury is a real issue because rookie receivers need every rep they can get. They need all the help they can get. And now he's behind the 8 ball. And until next year's OTAs in camp, I have a hard time seeing a circumstance where he can get that great one-on-one time, those great reps to figure out what he's supposed to do in a very complex offense for wide receivers.
2 chats or 2 non-supers before we get out. Generic user. Larry, you're classically handsome. You must have ladies all over you. Thank you. I would have
noticed how that wasn't offered my way, but that's okay.
We got this one. Dieter, you're going to eat your words about walk-ins or walk-ins? Oh, Watkins. I love you, man, but you're wrong on this one. All right. Love you, man.
What's the downside on Watkins? I'm sorry. The premise is that Watkins is going to have a dynamite season. Is that the premise that I'm missing here?
I mean, first of all, it's a little bit of an unfair thing, I think, because rookie receivers don't make it don't do anything in the NFL. And the reason
unless you're exceptional.
in college they like hold up a purple card, and in the NFL it's like so much more complex, and everything's about every step, and you can't play fast. And
the first goddamn thing Kyle Shanahan said on a conference call after the kid got drafted is it's going to be hard for him to see the field.
Yeah, but you know what? I will say this though, Ole Miss runs a lot of pro sets, and they did play tempo. They played tempo.
They
at
played
times.
pro sets the same way that the Arizona Cardinals. And
yeah, no, I know it's
spread.
Lot,
10 personnel.
Yeah, no, I know. But I mean,
everything was 7, 8, or 9.
But this guy was not the guy. It wasn't like this.
No.
Like
he was the most polished of all of them. No, I'm with you.
He was. This was the guy that surfaced when all the other guys who were supposed to be better didn't. So I'm a believer in this guy. I really am.
I'm with you. I
think he's going to be. I think he's going to make plays. I think he's going to be the rare receiver that makes plays. I think we've already kind of seen it. I will say this about Brock. This is the other thing. This guy is going to separate down the field a little bit. Brock Purdy's so aggressive. Anybody who's open down the field is getting the ball. I mean, that's just the way Brock is. So I think you're going to see Brock go to this kid a lot. Rory says, Larry, I've been hearing all week that the Niners make 2 trades for 2 wide receivers. There's a lot of Tyreek Hill rumors, but I don't see that happening.
Tyreek Hill ain't happening.
Travis Omega, Schneider goes to Washington and their special teams gives up nearly 2 touchdowns first game. Coincidence? Yeah, nope. Seriously. I don't know. Schneider's a really nice man. That's all I can say about that. That's going to do it for us. We're 2 hours and 11 minutes in, and eventually this thing had to end. We'll call it right here.
People say at the end.
Thanks to the 2,000 people hanging out. We got a bunch of people on Dieter's side as well. We got a big house tonight full of people. Thank you, Dieter. I didn't realize that we missed you until you came back. But
thanks, Lair.
Seriously, when you were gone, I was like, I just filled the time. I don't know how I did it. But you know what?
Better. I feel
now that I've had you back here, I realize, damn, Dieter's freaking good, and that's why we love streaming with him. No, but seriously,
love coming.
Always love having you on. Is there anything you would like to promote? If you would, now is that time.
No. Let's just get on with it, Larry, because I gotta get back in the rhythm, my friend. I can't promote any of this stuff. Have you ever tried to write after like 8 weeks of not writing?
It's hard.
It's real bad. It's real bad.
Yeah. You seriously,
radio talking's bad, and I've been talking every day for 8 weeks, and it's
anything that you get out of rhythm doing, and you do it for the first time in a long time. It's like, whoa! It's like you've never done it before. It's so crazy to say that, but I actually, my wife and I got new bikes, and we went on a bike ride. And I used to ride bikes all the time. I was on that bike for like the seat was a little too high, so I couldn't really. I was maybe a little too. I had to kind of push off and get going.
The seat's too high, honey. That's why I look.
The seat's too high. But I mean, literally, I'm like, hey, man, I haven't ridden this thing in a while. I mean, I better practice riding a bike. They say you never forget. You never forget. Well, maybe I'm forgetting. All right. For Dieter, I'm Larry. Thanks to Pig and a Pickle. Thanks to Sharp Corner Sports Cards and Collectibles. Thanks to our good friends at Claw Daddy Arcades. Thanks to all of you. The links are in the description for all the sponsors. Hit like and subscribe on your way out the door. For Dieter, I'm Larry. Have a great night, everybody. Peace.
Yeah, never met a man I've been scared of.